Call the Ware Board of Firewards Tuesday, December 19th, 2023 regular meeting to order at 6:10 p.m. First item up we have on for business is it says variance for driveway. We're not in the business of granting variances here per se, so I just want to make that clear. This would be, we're looking at a driveway application, is that correct? It's Mount Dearborn Road.
Mount Dearborn Road, who's that?
4861, that's you guys.
Okay, you putting in a driveway?
Yep.
All right, that's you guys.
Okay. I just wanted,
Well,
that was,
you have a couple things, so you got a driveway and a garage slash apartment.
Right, but the driveway is the,
Okay.
What we do.
is the main thing that we're going to be looking at.
okay?
Okay?
Yep.
This is both the garage and the driveway. Top sheet is, top sheet is the driveway.
Thank you.
Excuse me, sure. For you.
Where is this? This is Mountain Road?
Mount Dearborn.
Along Dearborn. This was just logged?
Yep.
Is it right on the left there?
Yep.
Oh, dear.
Right across from the pond there,
Yep.
the bacon shack. So that's basically the only entrance in from that side of the property, the other side is off of the main road. The long,
Can I have you come up to here and speak in the microphone, just so everyone could hear you? Thank you.
so it's basically the entrance in off of Mount Dearborn Road, long 1,400-foot driveway. Going back, as you can see, the property is very narrow at the beginning, goes back to where it opens up, to where he wants to build his house. And right now, it's actually, wants to build a garage with an apartment in it, and that's what the driveway is gonna go to. And then eventually, we're gonna turn the corner, as in the plan, and goes up to the permanent residence. Right now, he has partial cleared from the logging, that's how they got back and forth on the logging road. Plans on having 16-foot wide driveway, met all the setbacks and opening at the street. That was on the permit application. There will be room for turnouts. We know it's a long driveway, so there is some room on the left-hand side. It gets, close to the property line, but the way the property is set, it's all sloped down, and then there's a little flat area where the driveway is basically going. We can't push it any more towards the center, because then we're gonna be up into the hillside.
It's gonna be a fairly flat driveway.
Yeah, it goes up and it has a up and
Little
down,
bit,
but
nothing
nothing
crazy.
major. We get to about a 10% grade right at the end when we turn right to go up to where the house is gonna go. So, but for right now, it's fairly probably 5% grade.
So you don't have any topographic,
Not for the whole length. He has topographic right at the new house, because he did the septic system.
okay, I didn't see that in here.
Yeah, the septic, do you have the septic system with you? He has a septic system designed, right now. That's for the house permit. But yeah, there's no topo. We shot some grades. Basically, I'm an engineer, I'm a structural engineer, not a surveyor. So I shot some grades, we figured out the slopes, like I said, the max slope would be 10% after you turn off to go up to the new house in the future. But before that, we're under 5%.
Have you received the driveway regulations through the planning board?
Yes, and we submitted for the permit through them, and then they told us we had to come to you guys.
Okay, so do you meet those requirements as outlined in
Yes.
the regulations?
Yep, the 30-foot entrance, all that, we met all that. So, and we were just told that we had to come and go in front of you
Yeah,
guys.
so you looked at the turning radiuses, the
Yep.
grades,
Yeah, it's a fairly straight driveway, there's not much turning.
Okay.
There- There's gradual,
Right, so you have, so you have the width of, the hard surface.
Yep.
and with the length that should specify, turnouts.
yes.
and
So,
then
yep,
there
we can
should be
meet
a
the turnouts.
turnaround at the top.
So, yeah, he will have an opening at the top right in front of the building, which is quite large. It's a, basically two bay garage with 12 by 14 doors.
Because those are
Metal
all
building.
specified in those
Yep.
regulations. Okay.
And I guess we met, they had some questions, we added them to the permit application for them. And next thing you know, they told him, nope, you gotta go here, so.
Long as that opening, right, with 30 feet?
Yep. It's gonna be paved, I think it was 15 feet into the property.
Apron?
Yep.
Yep.
The problem that we might have a little bit with the regulations is the grade, because they wanted to slope away from the street. But that whole property is actually, there's no gully on the side of the street there.
Yeah.
It all goes to the other side. So he's gonna follow the contour of the existing road and put the little gully in, but it's not gonna be the percentage that they wanted. It's gonna meet the existing roadway.
The road
So the way it works is the highway department
does
does the part where the driveway meets the road.
Okay,
And then our regulations are basically for emergency access
yep,
to the property, the buildings there,
okay.
okay?
I just have one question. Once it splits up top,
Yep,
roughly, I know you said future house, so it's gonna be somewhere in that general vicinity. How far is that structure away from the main driveway that you're putting in now?
well, the main driveway,
Proposed.
it's probably,
100 feet to the right to the garage portion, and that would be 300 up to the house.
So about 300 feet from
Yeah.
the, okay, all right,
After that split.
okay.
So you mentioned 1,400 feet, is that to the garage or to the house?
To the house,
To the, okay,
to the garage is 1,100.
yep, okay.
I move that we approve.
I will second that.
Okay.
Subject to the regulations.
Yeah.
Well, they were already met, I was told. So, yeah, as long as it
As long as
stays
everything-
they
within.
told us is, everything's
It
all
was
set,
approved.
'cause they came back, had a couple comments, we put some dimensions on it. They just wanted to see the dimensions on the entrance. And then they said, yep, you're all set, go to the fire board.
Right, so
So,
as long as it meets those regulations.
Yep,
Okay.
I will second that, yeah.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any more questions or discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
thank you.
Abstaining?
Those back?
That's a pretty drawing.
I'm sure we should keep one set.
I'm gonna keep
I'll keep mine too.
this one.
Thank you.
You're welcome, thank you.
Next up is, it says variance for this one too, which the same thing applies, as before, for 530 South Stack Highway map, 411 lot 103.
This over there, if I can point and talk at the same time.
Whatever works.
That's the thing, you know, I like to point and talk. Scott, you can't see anything? So, good evening. I'm Craig Francisco, Bedford Design. I'm also planning board chairman, by the way, so I know about your driveway regulations, believe me, I helped write them. So I'm here for Scott Silva, Cold Springs Campground, oh, no, RV sales. This is Colby Road, this is 114, this is the tavern, that's Cold Springs, this is where they have the display area up on the hill. So, we've been working on this for quite a while, trying to figure out how to get up here. And I met with DOT. DOT says I have to be at least 200 feet from here. Since I can't go directly across from Colby Road, they want me at least 200, prefer 400. Anything less than 400, I have to have a really good reason. 400, of course, puts me right in the middle of that wetland. Oh, I shouldn't say that. This is the wetland right here. There's that little guy had the car accident marker right out there. And we got a wetland coming up the hill here. And when you get up there, we're not worried about up there too much. So meaning if I had to put it here, I'd had to go through the widest part of the wetland. I know Wetland Board would not approve that. So we moved it over to where it is now, basically across from the existing entrance. So we tried 3 ways. I got 3 alternatives here. I went to DES and talked to DES, and I'll show you the plan I sent them, or met with them about. This is showing 10%.
Yeah, I got it.
Up to about here. We have a maximum cut of, go see my notes here, a little over 30 feet. The 10% grade is for 1,300 feet. It's 1,650 feet to the top of to where the road starts going down again, which is here. And we still have 6 feet of cut here on this grade. And we're moving 87,500 yards of material. With a lot of material. That's just the profile of it. Ignore this line for now. This is the existing grade. And this would be the proposed driveway. I say road, I don't mean road, it's a driveway. Alternative 2 is 12% to about here. Then it flattens out, tops in here. The 12% section's about 1,000 feet long. We have a maximum 16-foot cut. We're disturbing about 33,000 square feet. Oh no, not disturbing. 33,000 square feet of 33,000 cubic yards of cut. It's 1,540 feet from the road to the top of where the road starts going down. To give you an idea, this is a profile, this is existing ground, this is 12% driveway, and this is the 10% driveway. So you can see it's an awful lot lower, that's for sure, somewhere around 15, 20 feet. This is a plan, last but not least. I took this to DES to show Wetlands Board and also the Alteration Terrain Board, because I was trying to, I can't be here because of Colby Road, so we have to be here. If I have to do 10%, you already saw we have to just have 87,000 yards of material to move. I think they said they didn't really like this idea, because you're crossing the wetlands twice, but they would probably approve it because of the less disturbance to everything else. Environmentally, they were more happy, less upset about this than they were the other one, is the best way to put it. So that's why we're here. I went to the planning board, we went to Wetlands Board, we met with the alteration train people at DES, talked to DOT. Planning board's thought with this was you're gonna look like you're in a tunnel, and you're probably not gonna get hardly any sunshine on the road itself. So I don't know what that, here, driveway, sorry. So this would look, I mean, you're talking 30 feet cut in here, so it's gonna be a big frickin' hole. Also, we're planning on going 20-foot wide, paved, probably curbing. And you're probably looking like, why am I nuts about putting curbing in there? Alteration Terrain makes you treat the runoff. And the runoff from the road. They don't make you treat the runoff from the non-disturbed areas, or once this is seeded, you don't need to treat that. If we treated all that, the detention pond would be massive to try to hold all the water. So we put curbing up, put a ditch beside the road, the ditch carries the runoff from the hill, and we don't have to treat it. We can let it go. So the curbing then catches the runoff from the road, and we can treat that. So that's why we're talking 20 feet wide. It's the only way we can make it work, I think. So really, we're talking about that compared to that. Like I said, he's writing up here, this is just a very rough conceptual, trying to get something up on top of the hill. Don't know exactly what we're gonna do in the hill yet. Some kind of contractor's yard is what he's thinking. I assume something similar to Remillard did down in Riverdale, something like that. So I need a conditional use permit from the planning board, and I know the planning board's gonna ask for your input. And before I go spend tens of thousands of dollars trying to get permits, I wanna make sure I'm going in the right direction. Rather than getting all the permits saying, now I gotta back up and do it all over again. That was a long-winded introduction, wasn't it? That was a long-winded introduction.
I didn't hear what you just said.
Yeah,
What was that you just said?
I just said it was a long-winded introduction.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's all
Thought I
right.
missed something important.
No, not one important.
I mean, obviously, you want,
I threw out a lot of information real quick there, I know that.
So
I think
right
that
now
first
you
one's
have,
better.
I saw the conceptual buildings, but you have no solid plan on it yet, because most of the time, well, pretty much for commercial, you usually have a fire protection engineer go over the plans for access for water supply, et cetera.
We have no idea what we're doing up there. Well, we don't know for sure what we're doing up there. Right now, I've been hired to get a road up top the hill.
Yeah, it does. So, do you have, are you meeting the specs on that?
On the driveway?
Proposing, yeah.
No, I'm going 12% rather than 10. I wanna do 12% on the driveway. It saves me, well, it lessens the disturbance quite a bit, about 53,000 cubic yards less. A lot of material.
And with the third option, you could maintain the 10%?
Yep, we do. But it's twisty and curvy and up and down, and
Yeah.
we got 10% on the third option.
but that's the one that DES wasn't fond of, as you cross over the,
Yeah, they didn't really like it, but they didn't say they'd approve it, but they kinda gave us the impression they might. Is that a good way of putting it?
Yeah, they didn't say no.
Yeah, they didn't say no. And also, I should point out one thing, it's kinda hard to see on this, but there is, the display area has an existing crossing right here, across this wetland. Wetland keeps going up the hill, so there's a permit for this already. So we'd probably restore that and bring our access road off of this to get to that. In the same way here, there's already a permit to cross here, so we'd restore that and build one here. If those two crossings were approved, boy, I'm gonna guess the first one was 2014-ish?
Yeah, so I've heard before.
Yeah, somewhere, and the other one is 2018, I think.
12% grade is hard.
Yeah.
It's hard to do those.
At least you can have a paved surface 20 feet wide to go up the hill with. The road in front of my house is steeper than that, longer than that. I live on a Baja Bridge, by the way.
yeah. I used to live out there, I know how that is.
This does meet the turning radius, is barely. Through here. The driveway regulations, barely.
This first one, how big would the cuts be? When you say you gotta cut through, do you know how tall the wall would be, or?
The first one?
Yeah,
10% the whole way?
yeah.
Maximum cut was 30, a little over 30 feet, 32, I think. High as the building.
Yeah.
The maximum cut.
And you'd have to do like a slope and,
Yeah, it'll be a
Oh.
2-to-1 slope, 2 feet horizontal, 1 foot vertical. But going with 12%, I reduced that cut from 31, 32 down to 16.
Does that reduce your costs?
Oh, sure. Yes.
Do you have any idea roughly how much?
The way diesel prices are changing.
Yeah,
the road prices
who
are
knows?
changing, Who knows, right. I quit pricing things after COVID, personally. Things got really different everywhere.
Thoughts, discussion?
I mean, personally, I like that first one at 10%.
I would prefer not to exceed 10%.
Yeah, I think that. And then this. How tight are the corners? There's what?
They're right at the minimum in the driveway regulations. I don't remember what they are.
Which I mean,
I think it's 40 foot.
if there is, you get.
Either the first or the third option would be
Yeah.
fine by me.
I agree.
So I would prefer not to exceed 10%. Whatever.
Even though I'm going 20 feet wide. Paving a 20-foot wide driveway for you.
Yep.
I think that,
With a little snow, a little ice, 2% makes a big difference.
Especially when you're, if there is an emergency and we gotta pump water up there and there's trucks going by and by and by and up and down doing some sort of water supply, those roads get icy enough as it is, so that 2% does.
I look at it as there's potentially presenting a hardship if we're they're so strict to the 2%, there's a trade-off. It's, we can't put people in hardship either. I don't know how much the difference is in the cost, but, I always lean towards,
At least 6 figures.
Between Plan 1 and 3?
Moving 33,000 yards opposed to moving 87,000 yards. Just moving 50,000 yards is gonna be, you gotta get rid of it.
This one's
Where are you gonna truck it
26,000.
to?
we're not talking a small project.
No.
And you have the potential 6,000 square feet, 8,400 square feet.
Some big
8,400.
buildings.
Yeah,
There's a lot going up there at some point potentially.
Yeah, we hope. So,
It's important.
That's why
I mean, I
like that first
assume,
one
I assume
personally.
we'll have some kind of fire suppression cistern, some fire pond,
I would hope
something
that
up
they
there.
would sprinkle every building and put a cistern up there. That would be, in my opinion, would be ideal.
I'm sure we can get a fire pond or a cistern up there once we get up there.
Well, with your third option, you're at 10% and you're moving 26,000 yards.
Yes,
That's even less than going at 12%.
yes.
But the battle's with
But I'm-
DES
but
on that one.
And I'm making a very twisty and turny road at 10%.
No, isn't that the one they liked? Is that the one DES?
No,
That's
because
the
you're
one-
crossing, wetlands
They,
twice.
they don't really like it, but they didn't say no. Personally, I wouldn't wanna be making these turns on a 10% road. But I'm not driving a fire truck.
Can you make the road wider even with those curves or no?
Wider than 20 feet?
Yeah, that's 20.
20 feet's a road already.
we have the 10% in there for a reason.
No, it's
not a
NFPA.
light- It's not a, it's
Oh, I
not a
know.
light reason, that's,
Oh, I know, I mean, I was sitting on the planning board when Chip,
Yeah,
and we were all going through all this, I remember,
Yeah.
I wrote the regulation, I drew the pictures and the, yeah, I know all that, I know where it came from. NFPA says 10%, but it can be waived.
Let's say a 10% one. Yeah. I like the first one.
What I'm hearing is you guys like the twisty Kirby one.
Twister Kirby or the first one, which I know is way more.
speed gets really scary really fast. In that, you're looking at, we generally have to, we go with six-wheelers, which for most applications would be built into a 10-wheel chassis, but we have to have the maneuverability to get in and out of places as well. And so the loads get high and they're heavy for a six-wheeler. So, yeah. They're just, he'll be scary.
Meet you halfway to 11?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I assume 11,000 is gonna save me 25,000 yards. I assume that I haven't done a design 11,000, 11%, but you guys seem dead set against 12, so meet you halfway. I'm a nice guy. Well,
Or we just stick to the rules and do 10. I mean,
If you can meet it.
well,
you know, yeah, you have
It's
plans
gonna
here
be
to
a
meet.
permitting nightmare, there's no doubt about it. I'm crossing the wetlands twice, I gotta get the water from this road across the wetland, then back across the wetland to treat it. I don't know how I'm gonna do that. And then I gotta keep this water, the road can't drain to the wetland, it just, I don't know how that's gonna work. It'll be,
So it looks like you're left with option one.
I would almost think, and I'm, I know you don't know what's going on top of the hill.
no,
But if you're proposed anything like what's down happening on Riverdale, and you're gonna have, I would think that this one would not be a good plan if you're gonna be hauling heavy machinery out of there on a low bed, and you're coming down that hill trying to make curves. That's just me, I wouldn't wanna be driving that.
So then that leaves this option where it's more straight. Granted, there's 10%, it's a lot more yardage, but
I wouldn't either. Lose your run,
Exactly, with the low bed.
with anything.
so that means that
I don't know what you're putting up there. But
Yeah.
if it's anything
With
like
those
that
grades,
proposed,
maybe- With those grades, maybe you can't get a little bit up that road, period. But,
So
no,
that
it's
means-
not a little bit.
So that means if we do that, that would be the first, I'm sorry. That would be the first option would be, hand me that then, yeah. Thank you, sir. And that means your first option, if you're considering that too, is the really only option.
We also did, by the way, this is Renshaw, right here.
Yep.
We did look at coming in that way, but there's no right-of-way extension on Renshaw, so we can't. Yeah, that'd have been almost
That would have
perfect.
been perfect.
Almost. Been too good to be true.
Yeah.
Of course, then everybody in Renshaw would not be happy about commercial vehicles going past their house. but That's another problem. We can't go there, so it doesn't matter. But we've pretty much exhausted all our concepts, that's for sure. accept the 11% when I didn't know that. And just FYI, those are 1 inch equals 200 feet, not 100 feet, because it's reduced.
Can you get it down to 11% with the second
Yes,
map?
yes. I'm sure I can. If I can do 10 and I can do 12, I'm sure I can do 11.
But, I mean, if it,
What is the grade of the existing driveway, just out of curiosity? This is a reference in my head, I guess. is all I need.
Hang on, I'll give you a rough idea, but I can see through there, okay? I thought it was 18, but I'm not positive on that.
Okay.
Well, since option 1 is almost on top of the existing road, there's your existing gravel, there's the
Okay.
existing gravel.
Okay.
So it's, and this is the 12, so it's like halfway between.
Yep.
The other thing we gotta, I know it's not your problem, but it is my problem. It will be my problem. This road is lower than this wetland, so that's another issue that I gotta
Yep.
somehow figure out.
I like this one the best personally, cause it sticks within 10%. Not as curvy and windy. Granted, it's a lot more material, I know. Costs and all that, you know.
I guess I feel at 11%, we can get in there, right? That's,
But we start changing 11%.
right, I know, that's.
And then, oh, well, you did it for this person, why aren't you doing it for me at 11%? And then it changes to 11, then it's 12, and,
Well, you also have to know, this is 10% for 1,300 feet. It's a quarter mile.
The way I see it is like,
10%.
you know, this is his property. And
oh, yeah, I agree, like, it's just
insofar as much as we can, let people have rights to do what they want with their property, especially, you know, if a regulation is gonna cause hardship or, you know, exorbitant amount of extra financial burdening.
So,
then we're changing, but my only thing is, like, if there was like a buffer between 10 and 12 is what you have to be, then I'm good with it, but, you know, how do we know the next person isn't, oh, well, you did 11, we'll just do one more to 12, and now we're,
Well,
you know what I mean? So it's,
Yes,
what's good for the goose is good for the gander, that's the only thing.
We didn't come at the 10% lightly.
Right,
I
that
do
was-
also know that,
That's still a steep hill,
yeah, it is.
so, and.
This is
we-
New Hampshire.
Yes, and so,
I also know of several driveways that got approved at 15%. 4 or 5 years ago.
So it sounds
Well, I don't know
arbitrary.
what they said to you guys, but I went out,
The
the
decline.
planning board went and walked them.
yeah. Well, we worked very diligently at the regulations that we had. We measured the turning radiuses and all that stuff. It wasn't just,
No, I know.
you know, in the.
I met with Chief Vizina and
Yeah.
Chip and everybody trying to come up with all those things,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
it was 6 months struggle probably,
Yeah.
maybe 3. But it
Yeah.
was-
Felt like 6.
It did feel like 6.
Yeah. Yeah, I, that's my only thing is, I would say 10% is,
But obviously, we have a hardship. We're stuck with one spot to enter the
yeah.
property. We can only, we gotta enter someplace in here. We can't enter anywhere here. because of DOT and environmental wetlands, et cetera.
Variances exist for a reason.
I don't need a variance.
I know,
Okay.
but
Need it.
we're saying deviating from
I
ten
understand.
percent. So I'm saying, apply it to, the planning board, the zoning board of adjustment rather, and they, that's why that exists, because sometimes you need to weigh a regulation against the right of a property owner and what they're up against.
Well, but also, if we do have issues, once we approve it, basically, we own it. And if there's cost to the town because of difficulties with that property, then that burdens the rest of the town.
Like what?
Like,
Private driveway.
yeah, but if there's damage occurred because of the limited access, and we have to try and get there, then the town is gonna be liable for that.
I don't know, I don't understand
I
what
don't follow
you
your
mean,
reasoning.
damage occurred. Like the fire truck's gonna roll down the hill.
That could be one of the things,
Can't that happen on the road too?
yes, and they have road regulations as well for that reason.
Right, but we have public roads that exceed this grade, so, I mean, theoretically, it can happen anywhere. I don't think it's a valid reason to deny a property owner, the right to, it's a very, far-reaching hypothetical. How many fire
I mean,
hydrants have we dug out of ditches?
I mean, there was rules made, that's my thing. I'm all for it, I think
Rights had.
I think he should absolutely put those buildings up, I think that's awesome, I think the town definitely needs it,
It's a commercial property, you certainly,
you know what I mean? I love it, but as long as it's within the rules of the 10%.
I have to figure out how to get a wetland permit to dewater that whole wetland at 10%. Because the wetland's gonna go away.
So
You
those,
know what I mean?
so it's almost like every option has difficulties that you're gonna have to endure anyways, right?
If you have a 30-foot cut,
That's what I'll make it.
if I have a 30-foot cut through here, there's no water in that wetland anymore. It's gonna drain. It's gonna seep in the side slope of that driveway. No way it's gonna hold water. Whatever water's getting to it's gonna end up right here. It's not gonna get to it, except this water's the only water gonna get to it. And it's probably gonna keep on going right into the driveway.
So,
You're creating an environmental nightmare, to be blunt. I mean, I'm taking 87,000 yards away. I'm making a big frickin' crater in the hill, and I gotta figure out how to.
so almost every option, you either have to pull DES permits and do all that.
12%. 12%, I'm 4 feet below the driveway. Instead of 2 feet of cut, I got 16. Big difference.
So the water's not gonna drain at that 16 cut, just the,
Shouldn't.
I still think because what was discussed and all that, if it's supposed to be 10%, it's supposed to be 10%. That's my opinion.
I guess I would be inclined to bend a little bit to 11, but that's gonna save you, what, 12 feet, 8 feet?
Making assumption 16, 30, what did we say? I assume the cut would be about 24 rather than 16. And we got
Yeah,
30,
halfway in between, right?
Halfway in between, right. Instead of 87,000 yards and 33, you're probably gonna be at 55, somewhere in that neighborhood. I didn't think the 11th while I was standing here, by the way.
Yeah.
That was not pre-programmed in this conversation. I'm just trying to do something.
Would that preserve some of the wetland? I would have to believe it would.
Some of it, but not all of it, right?
Well, it's gonna be impacted no matter what he does.
Well, yeah.
Yes, it is. I think that's,
So you're either gonna go over it, drain it out, or only drain half of it, essentially.
it's certainly going to be
Right.
less impact at 11 than 10.
How much less, I can't say right off the top of my head.
So I mean, it's,
Well,
anybody that comes in now and wants a driveway permit at 11 or anything like that, right? They can just point back to this and be like, hey,
like I said, we're
you
already
gave
at
it to them.
15.
Well, yeah, but you gotta remember, I only have one place to enter the property. And I got a roughly 18% hill I gotta go up. And I can't go back and forth across it, it's too steep. So it's not like very many properties, that's for sure. I mean, the reason for a hardship when you go to the zoning board is your property has to be unique, and this is certainly a unique property.
I have a question. Say we, voted to not approve, right? And then he goes back to planning board, is my assumption, right? Is where you would go?
I haven't done very much design except for this preliminary right here, so we're nowhere near stage to go back to anybody.
Okay. I'm just wondering, like, how would he appeal this board, declining to approve a driveway? Just wondering.
Well, it doesn't meet
procedurally.
regulations, so I don't know how much you can.
Because like if you put in for a permit and it's declined, like if you put in a application for a variance and it's declined and you can show that there's hardship, you can appeal that, and I'm just wondering, like, what
That
is
I
the
don't know.
process for our approvals in that?
I believe I need a conditional use permit to go over 10% from the planning board. I don't need to go to the zoning board at all.
Okay,
And when I'm sitting on the table, the Board of Firewards recommendation is weighed very highly
okay,
towards that conditional use permit.
gotcha. I'll make a motion to grant it with an 11% grade.
I'll second that.
Okay, motion seconded. Is there any questions or discussion on the motion? Okay, all in favor say aye.
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 Opposed?
Yep.
Abstain? Motion carries.
So nobody quit the Board of Fireworks for a couple of years so I can get this whole thing designed.
We're done in March.
Take
Literally,
this
literally, the board is just done in March.
He said no, nobody abstains, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 4, 1, yeah, 401, sorry.
410.
410.
Yes, I'm sorry. Wow.
Can I ask you a question related to this, though, since you're all here?
Sure.
I have a body shop I'm building on Colby, 48 Colby, where the RV dealership has a service center. It's behind there, it's approved and everything, it's in process, but I can't get from anybody a straight answer on square footage of the building before I need fire suppression. It's 10,800 square feet, and it's gonna have a spray booth, mixing station, which are fire suppressed, chem suppression. I already have it. If you look at Grant Say Auto Body on the road on 525 right by the dealership, that's the body shop part of it. We're gonna be building a new building and moving everything from there to there. The paint we use is water-based, so we're spraying water-based paint, which is not flammable, but your primers are flammable and your clear coat's flammable. So we do spray some stuff that's, flammable. It's in a mixing stations, fire suppressed, and that's where all your paints, chemicals are. The booth that we spray in is fire suppression already, and that's just getting moved over there. And what I'm looking to do is get from you guys, how big can I go before I have to put a firewall in the middle of it? Or where is that firewall gonna be?
What was the highway shed, right?
So, that would be something that would probably get opinions from a fire protection engineer or the state fire marshal's
Okay.
office would help us with that.
Okay.
Yep.
Is that something you guys can look into?
Absolutely. If you want to drop off whatever you have, so they have something that I can bring up to them
I'll get you,
and show
I'll
them,
get you an engineer plan, I'm waiting for it, I'll have it this week.
and that'll be better than me just saying just what you said now to him.
Yeah.
And, to actually have something visual to look at.
Yeah, I don't wanna wait, I wanna be like compliant and, you know, my insurance company already told me, as long as my stuff is suppressed, they don't care, but then they're gonna meet the fire code too, so.
Yeah.
Okay, I can do that. Thank you.
Thanks, Scott.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay.
I don't have one.
Next item is, old business. Chief?
Chief, can I borrow your pen?
Oh, there you go.
Thank you. I need it.
All right. So old business, we'll start with personnel. Members finished up the training at the fire academy. Lieutenant Wayne Meady finished up his firefighter level 2. Carolyn Abbott finished her recruit school, attending her firefighter level 1 and 2, along with her hazardous materials operation and a fireground survival class. She also passed the CPAT test. Caroline has taken the vacancy that was open because of one of our members was deployed to the military. She will be starting on shift with Lieutenant Meady on the 26th of the month. She'll be going through the driver operator program. 3 members will be finishing up mid-December with their EMTA class. Lieutenant Charest is finishing up in her cardiology and her paramedic class, and she's going to be starting her clinical time soon. Call members on the call side, Andy Wheeler will be finishing up his firefighter level 1 soon and plans on taking the CPAP in the spring. Also, which I did put in there from last time, Jan has passed his firefighter level 2 along with the lieutenant here at the same time. We're working on a couple new call members for the call department, or a couple new members for the call department, and I hope to talk about that in the next coming months. Myself and firefighter Noah Brent, Lieutenant Amanda Charest, Lieutenant Wayne Meady received a life-saving commendation for a call on July 7th, 2023 on Etta Lane. The combined efforts resulted in the ultimate survival and discharge of the patient to pretty much normal lifestyle. On the apparatus end, the last of the on-spots were being installed. Thank you to Lieutenant Meady and Jason from Highway for doing a combined effort to get that done. The bill for ambulance 1 was processed at $6,753.55 for Hillsborough Ford. A little bit lower than the projected $6,800. Donovan Spring, or Donovan Equipment rather, will be handling the body for the new pickup truck. And then it's gonna be upfitted, once we get the body on, upfitted with the radios, light package, lettering and stuff. The ambulance chassis was on track for February 2024 delivery, but now most likely due later because of the strike at Ford. Still working on quotes for the new engine 4. Vendors are working on design and pricing. Engine 1 is being stripped at the South Station. The engine will be winterized and placed up at DPW till spring, and till the spring auction, or if that ends up being a trade-in on the new engine that we are quoting out. Boat and the trailer will be relocated to Sugar Hill Station 3 for the winter. As far as station goes, the go-ahead has been given from Armstrong for the duct cleaning for the safety complex. That's for our side and the police side. It's the whole complex. It's slated to happen January 24th and 25th. They will be out to do their sites. They will be out to do their site survey before that, and this was the grant funded. This is ARPA money, so it didn't come out of our budget. It came out of that from the town. The 10 new SCBA bottles arrived. They will be put into service. Items were sent to the White Farm that we no longer needed, and a check for $634.50 was sent to the town. And emergency operation plan is off to Mapping and Planning Solutions LLC to get updated. And that is the old business.
The business.
New business.
Anybody, I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah, any questions on the old stuff? Okay, new business, personnel. Members have finished up their class as follows. Firefighter Andy Wheeler has graduated his firefighter level 1. Andy Wheeler is a longtime paramedic, with AMR, so huge asset to the fire department. He will now, shortly start working with Lieutenant, Meady on the driver operator portion, of that to get, so he could be signed off on driving the apparatus. Congratulations to Firefighter Wheeler. 3 members have passed the grant-funded AMT class, firefighter Noah Brent, firefighter Cody LeMay, and firefighter Nathan Shatney. All 3 will be testing at the national level soon. This is greatly gonna improve our medical response resources, as those 3 were basics, and now they are gonna be advanced level EMTs. Sorry about the O there. I don't know how that got in. Lieutenant Charest is expected to start clinical in the near future for her paramedic class. She is working towards that now. We accepted an application for the call department. Firefighter Killian Donnelly has passed all his prerequisites to join the call force once again. We welcome him, and we are still I'm actively still trying to recruit 2 other people at this time for the call force, for the call department. Apparatus, I wish I had something good to say. Ambulance 1 is back at the shop with a very strong odor of exhaust. Hillsborough Ford did do a smoke check and discovered a leak, which they had fixed, but after 1 run, getting the ambulance back, and after 1 run, the smell was back. The ambulance is at Hillsborough Ford now, and when they did the smoke check, they didn't come up with anything at all. But the mechanic did say that it has a horrendous smell of exhaust in there, so they're trying to figure that out. They're pretty much at a punt stage right now, and that's as of 3 o'clock this afternoon when I talked to them. So the ambulance is still out of service, and the Chevy Kodiak is still our first due out the door ambulance and running strong.
So, we brought it to get service with the turbo issue.
Correct.
Came back in service.
Correct.
Now we've had to bring it back.
Correct.
And they fixed it once.
And then they
Was-
came
Well,
back.
they fixed it.
Well, so
They
that.
had an issue, they
Okay.
found a problem,
Okay, so,
they fixed it.
so was that
It-
related to the original job?
We never got a bill for it, so I'm assuming, yes, it was some type of exhaust problem in the turbo area. And then it literally came back and it had a pretty good smell on the way back. And we ran a fan, we deconned the whole inside front cab, the back of it, wiped it all down with our wipes and everything to try to alleviate that smell. Ran a big fan to blow air through it continuously for the day. The smell was gone, and the first call the ambulance went on was a CO detector activation. And when the crew came back out to get back in the ambulance again, the exhaust smell is nauseating that was in the cab. So at that point, the vehicle went out of service again, because we can't transport anyone having that like that. And was sent to Hillsborough Ford, and that was on either Thursday or Friday. It was sent down there. And again, they worked on it today and said that they did a smoke check and didn't come up with anything with that. So now they're pursuing other avenues, but there is that smell. They do smell it in the cab. So they do acknowledge that there is a smell in there. They were gonna do a couple of other things and then let the vehicle run again tomorrow and see where they came up with it, if the smell is in fact gone or what. So, I guess right now, there's no definitive answer, before there was a leak and they fixed it, but I don't know about now, what the problem is now. So that's where we stand with the ambulance. Moving on, and, Donovan Spring, which should be Donovan Equipment, I'm sorry, stated the body was supposed to be in Londonderry the first week in December, and they're not sure at this point if they have it or not. So that's exactly what I said, and kind of a short thing on the phone, but, they will call back. They said, the gentleman I talked to said the yard boss was gone for the day. But he sees on there where the body was supposed to be delivered by Stahl Body Company from out west, and it was supposed to arrive in Londonderry December 1st. And he has there's nothing there saying the body is there, and there's nothing saying where the body is. So he was gonna get back to me on that and figure out what's going on with that. Because I made a phone call to them because it was under my assumption that it was gonna be, when I talked to them the last couple of times, like the second week in December or something. So I've been waiting for the phone call for them, and then finally decided to call them myself. We do have a good, little bit of good news. The new ambulance, the chassis, has arrived in Iowa. So now we have 190 more days to the projected delivery. And as I write here, Al Hooper was just as surprised to see the chassis show up as I was when I got the phone call from him. So he said, lo and behold, your chassis is here, and we're gonna ready to start building. So a couple of things have already been ordered and sent out there. The narcotics vault, which we had a little issue with which was my fault on my end, but we're getting that solved. And the radios have also been ordered for the new ambulance and the utility. The new radios are Motorola, and according to the dealer, they're possibly up to 6-7 months out before you could get a radio, because there's none there.
Is that what's in in that manifest? Did we pay, is there a check in there for that? I don't know if you looked at them. For the radios.
I'm
There was
not sure,
some- okay,
I would have to look through, that's all coming out of the ambulance, out of that budget, out of that line item
Right.
for the ambulance. That's not coming out of like my operating budget, that's all out of the ambulance,
Okay.
out of that ambulance line from the CIP. So the radios have been ordered. There was some cabling that we had to order and then send out while the ambulance is being built. There's a 25-foot cable that has to be installed inside before they put everything together. So that was ordered and direct shipped out to Iowa so they could put that in the ambulance. Moving on, engine one is about 90% stripped. There's some fittings and stuff. It's at the south house right now. We lost a number of length of hose to the mice issue we were having up at the Sugar Hill station. And that leads me right back down to the fire station portion. Armstrong did come by the other day. They did a walkthrough of the fire side and the police side to get a better handle on the duct cleaning that's going to be happening in January. So they did that, and they took a look at access points and stuff like that, which they needed to do. Moving on, JP Pest has been added to both the South Station and Sugar Hill. And again, this was done due to the mouse problem. I believe it was 3 lengths, Lieutenant, of 4-inch. 3 lengths of 4-inch hose that the mice ate through or chewed up, and numerous lengths of 1 3/4 hose that the mice chewed through also.
Oh, question.
So, a lot of mice activity up at Sugar Hill and some at South Station, but hopefully that's gonna be fixed. And especially with if the police department plans on putting anything else up there, radio equipment, and just for our equipment too. So we're gonna, before we put anything up there, the boat is still at Center Station. It is slated to go up there for the winter time. We have yet done that because there's no ice yet on the lake and, on the surrounding lakes and stuff, so we have yet to winterize our boat. But I'm hoping, maybe another month worth of JP Pest going up there and looking at Sugar Hill will be mouse-free before we put any more equipment up there to get ruined. Yes?
So just like a month or two of JP Pest going up there to kinda close out the issue? Is that what you're saying, or is it like going forward, it's gonna be like a monthly treatment?
Nope, going forward, it's gonna be quarterly treatment, but they were gonna go up there and look a couple of times in the next month just to try to knock the mice problem down for the winter time.
Gotcha.
And then there will be quarterly at that station and South Station, because there's evidence of mouse activity down there. There's not that many people are going in and out of that station, so.
How much is that every time they go to each site?
We spend $82
Yeah, it was, I think it was under $100 a month. And I don't even know,
So it's like
like they
$1,200 a year.
came already to the safety complex, but I don't ever remember getting a bill. So I don't know if that's something that the town portion is, or if the town has a contract with them.
for the transfer station as well, cause all the mice was up above, it was nasty,
Yeah,
so, and then the
Okay.
big ones are in the bottom with it.
Trash it.
Have we
Crashes.
tried any deterrents, like, we, around all of our vehicles and our camper, if you get those wool dryer balls, or even just a paper plate, you just, my husband buys a big jug on Amazon of, peppermint oil, and he mixes it with water, and we spray it, and we soak plates in it, and we leave them in the cabinets and stuff. We haven't had mice in the 4 years that we've been doing that.
yeah, I mean,
No, not mothballs, but, cause those are like toxic, but, you know, just peppermint oil, it's just a, yeah.
Yeah, we use
So if they
Yeah,
don't
I
wanna
mean-
come near
I
the
mean-
peppermint.
the dryer sheet.
especially
Yeah.
with the station up at Sugar Hill, the building just needs, maintenance done to, I mean, there's enough holes in there that mice are gonna come, so I'm hoping that most of the time, once they get all the mice out of the building, they put the traps or the deterrent stuff outside the building, so the mice never want to go inside the building, they always stay outside the
They usually
building.
grab it and run for water.
Yeah, so that's pretty much what they do. I mean, we can certainly do that, we could try that. I mean, that might work up at Sugar Hill where we're not in and out of there a lot, you know?
Yeah, you
But,
can just give it a try, see if it works, might be a good, cheap option. It's worked for us for years. They just don't even wanna be near it, so they don't even try to go in
Right.
once they smell it.
Okay, we could look into that. What's that?
Oh yeah, the sound thing.
We put it in front of it, battery zone, truck on.
Yep.
So we stick it in front, and for some reason you can't hear it, but they can, they don't like it.
Yeah.
So the peppermint oil, we install that, and then we just throw those bags of mothballs underneath the camper in dirt. And leave it in the issue.
Okay, I mean, that's something we could certainly
Just a
take a look at.
suggestion.
Moving on, the permit for the permit webpage, and that's for the fire permit, okay? That's finally up and running, now that I am the warden, the state gave me the secret squirrel number and code to get in, so we can do permits at the station. anyone could stop down, they could get a permit, all you need is your driver's license, and we will log that into the computer, and we will print you out your permit at no charge. And everyone, or at least the officers at the station right now are the ones that are doing that, okay? And that's, also, I have to say, that's if we're there. I mean, naturally, if we're out on a call, you're gonna have to come back, and if you, or you either just do it yourself online and pay the fee, but if someone's at the station, they'll be able to print that out for you at no charge for the fire permit.
That's great. Sorry, I know I'm interjecting a lot. I know people who are going to be very happy about that.
Yeah, and we've absolutely had a bunch of people, come down already and have utilized that, and I think that's great too. There was a lot of confusion before of whether that could even be done, but it was nice to have direct, face-to-face conversation with the ranger to actually find out from, from the horse's mouth, I guess, what exactly we could do and what we can't do. So that is up and running. Feel free to take advantage of that and stop down and see us. The last thing I have for the station is, Umbro will be in the station, to assess the training room for Emergency Operations Center preparedness. Rough estimates, when they walk through, we're adding 2, dedicated phone lines and increasing our web availability, because they said that if something was to ever happen, we do not have, and I'm not a computer guru, but we do not have the bandwidth to sustain anything over what we're doing right now on a daily basis. So that is gonna be looked at, and anything that's being done with that is actually under the emergency management budget. It's not coming out of the fire department budget, it's coming out of emergency management budget. But I just figured I would tell you guys, cause it's happening in your station. And that is it. If you wanna move to the packets, questions, comments, concerns on any of that? Do we wanna vote to move to accept that? Do we do that?
No, not here, right? That was just you
Minutes.
telling us.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, next on, we're good on new business. Everybody good?
Yeah.
Discussion on the warrant article for full-time chief position. You have that?
No.
You don't?
Well, I have what we. But that was that's the article that's gonna be, if you wanna pass that to Steve.
Yep.
Well, could we?
Yeah.
Sorry, I thought you were gonna have that for us. My fault. Sure. Alright, while she's doing that, we can do approval of minutes. We have, last month's, November 21st, 2023.
I make a motion, we approve the November 21st, 2023 minutes. Should we wait for Naomi to do the motion, or?
We can just let her know.
Yeah.
We can go on.
Okay,
Yeah.
I made a motion.
Yep, motion to approve the, November 21st, 2023 minutes.
Thank you.
Is there a second for that?
I'll second.
Okay, Tilly, this motion to approve the, November 21st, 2023 minutes, and, Wayne seconded that. Is there any questions or discussion?
As written.
As written. Is that okay? Put that in
Yep,
your
yeah,
motion?
sure.
Okay.
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Motion carries. Okay, we was just doing that while you were making the copies. So we'll go back to the,
Full-time fire chief's discussion.
fire chief's warrant
Warrant
article. So this is what's actually gonna be in the, what's there.
Yes, this was given to me, from Beth.
Any questions, discussion on that?
It's gonna be salary, right? Right, it's a salary position, right? Yeah. That's fine.
Do we have any data as to how that number was come up for a salary? Are you, I don't know if you were in on that or not, if you know that.
That was, Chief Olson had looked at other area fire departments that were in our, like in our range or our size. And that was, kinda like the middle of the road.
So no questions or discussion? Do we wanna approve it?
This is going to the warrant, yeah. I make a motion, we approve the full-time fire chief warrant article as written?
It may, I mean, once he gets the town council and DRA.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
That, you know, once we put our warrant together, it's still at the pass muster at DRA. It's
Okay.
possible.
So,
So you could pass it on, but it just may.
Pass it on, yeah.
or, so we say support it, would that be proper?
I would say pass it on to the next steps that warrant articles go.
I think it's recommend.
Okay. All right, do we have a second? I'll second it. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed?
Aye.
Abstain?
Are you abstaining?
Abstain, sorry.
So 3, 1, 1. Okay, the next thing is the manifest.
Oh, yeah. Read the thing?
Sure.
Motion to accept the fire department's accounts payable manifest checks dated 12/21/23 in the amount of $22,989.92.
I'll second that.
Motion and second, is there any questions or comments?
I have a question. Can I see the sheet with just the title?
This?
Titles of everything, yes.
Yeah,
okay.
okay. I was like, wait a minute.
Thank you.
Yep.
Teleflex LLC, no, that's not what it was. That's a little one. Oh, I think it was the Knox Company stuff. What's that?
It's Knox box.
That's
the
the
vault
Knox
for the new-
narcotics locker. for the
Gotcha, that you were
ambulance.
having trouble with?
Yep,
Okay, so you had to get it replaced, or?
we have to get one,
Okay.
yes, because, Chief Richards had told Mr. Hooper that we would be taking the one out of the current ambulance and sending it down. Well, if we take it out of the current ambulance, there's nowhere to lock our narcotics up.
Gotcha.
And also, actually, both of our narcotics lockers have, software that is no longer supported, and because they're old, and, Knox, there's no support for them. So once the ancient computer that we have the program on dies, we will no longer be able to, program the narcotics locker if we get either a new employee or we have to take an employee out of the locker. Right now, it's actually a cable you hook up to the computer and then to the front. The new narcotics locker, everything is cloud-based. And, you have to subscribe to that cloud base, and when you do that, of course, right? And when you do that, it's good for between 1 and 6 narcotics lockers, okay? So even though we have one, we had to subscribe to it, but it's cloud-based, and you'll be able to go into the computer, has a little rubber antenna sticks out the back, and it just picks up your Wi-Fi, and everything is just done over a secure link to take people in and out of the system, immediately, but we need to send that narcotics locker because they're actually building the compartment for it.
Okay.
So that has to get sent to Iowa.
Okay. And then what about the fire tech and safety of New England item? It's 11,197. I looked at it,
11,000.
but just,
That was the, SCBA bottles that we got, that came out of that, line item,
Yep.
that didn't come out of the budget, came out of that air pack CIP.
gotcha. Thank you.
Okay, any further questions or discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed, abstained. Motion carries. All right, fire chief's report?
I think we just did, right?
No,
Well, we
we
have
have more,
That's
but
old business.
let's set a record. Time-wise.
Okay.
It's a long
Before we
day.
get into that, do we have to talk about the,
Yeah, I don't know if we're
You're-
gonna go non-public after that.
yeah, are we
or what.
going non-public or no? For
Well, we
the last thing we discussed last meeting? Or is that public? I don't know,
It's non-public.
cause it ends this month. And we don't meet till the new year.
Well, let's go over this
Yeah, we
first,
can get
the
there.
budget.
Okay, I just didn't know where we were in that, in this process.
So this was just printed, Beth just printed this today, and I'm not gonna go through every line item, line by line, you have that in front of you. We have 6.17% of our budget remaining, the amount is 72,415. The biggest page I like to look at is the budget forecast page. So, if you just look at the amount remaining, we should have, and this is after we pay our payroll, all that stuff, our internet, phone, postage, vehicle fuel, vehicle maintenance of $4,000, which I'm hoping ambulance one, we still don't get a bill for, because if it's related. Our leftover that we are gonna have remaining in the budget is $4,957.38, or 0.42 of 1% of our budget left. So, we're to the end of the year, and actually, Beth had given me the go-ahead, the safety and medical gear, the 2559. I asked, Captain Hood to take a look to see what she, could finish buying out of that line item, that's for. Going on in the next page is just a summary of your, the services. Again, you could see the total, we'll just concentrate on the total, you guys could look at each individual page if you would like. But the total is 20,220.19 in vehicle maintenance that we had so far this year. Again, I don't anticipate anything towards the end of the year unless ambulance one, they come up and they tell us that it is not turbo related and it's some other kind of problem that's happening, and it ends up being a bill. Okay, but all the other apparatus is on par. We will have to start doing some maintenance at the beginning of the year and stuff, but it's kinda on the lower end, for that. Next page I give you guys is always, really just the general activity is really the big one. That's our, revenue from the ambulance, so far total this year, 204,225.26, okay? That's after the expenses, correct, prior to that it was 222,329. So, they take their amount out for the expenses of the billing and everything, and that's what we're left with. Now, again, we still have December, so we'll look forward to seeing that and see where we finish out for the year. But I would imagine we're gonna be kinda in the same, pretty much the same total we've been in, almost that 215 to 220, 225, you know, in that area. We've been hovering in that area for the last couple of years, so. And that is all I have for you, because I kept it short. I kept it short, so
I think that was a record.
that probably was a record for me, yes.
What? We need a non-public? What's that?
I think the last motion was to 12/31/23.
Yeah, but when's our next meeting? January?
12/31 is gonna be before your next meeting.
Oh, we have one more meeting? That's what you just said?
12/31 is gonna be
Oh,
before
okay.
your next.
Alright, then we're good. I guess we're
Alright, and that would be under A and C. You need a sheet?
You got one?
I do. I hope so. So I'll make a motion, the mic, sorry. I'll make a motion that we go into non-public. Actually, let me just say that, the last item on the agenda is a non-public session. At that point, we'll be, adjourning, our regular meeting. So at this time, I'll make a motion to enter into non-public session according to RSA 91A:3, 2A and C.
I'll second it.
Okay, we have a second. This is a lot. You ready to go? Recording.
Want to make your roll call, I want.
Oh, okay, yeah, sorry. Okay. Okay, Cushman?
Yes.
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 Donnelly?
Yeah.
Rourke?
Yes.